In case you didn't see it, they were doing sand angels. We've got more on why they were coming on up. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AMHQ Early. I'm meteorologist Jen Carfagno. You know, today temperatures could be record-setting across parts of the central and eastern U.S., caught in the grips of a heat wave. It is on. Now, some of those records, most kids are about wrapping it up now school-wise, but there might be a few schools left. So, you know, you come home off the bus and you're just running to the pool in the afternoon if it's open. We've got 155 million people with highs above average. You can see how it extends all the way from the Midwest into the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. You know what makes a heat wave? It's 3 days in a row of 90-plus temperatures. But also what makes a heat wave is these overnight temperatures that are so warm. I mean, look at these readings right now. As you head out the door this morning, it is in the mid-70s. This would be a nice afternoon, right? But it is going to be where we start today, and that's one of the reasons we get up to the mid-90s everywhere across the region. For Philly and New York, it's mid-90s. Boston, 94 degrees for you. We'll stay in the 80s around Buffalo and Pittsburgh. We'll talk a little bit more about your forecast coming on up here. But other than that, we've got 90s pretty much everywhere. A hot week ahead starting today. New York City, our forecast today of 95. When you factor in the dew point of 60, it's going to make it feel like 96. 60 is not that bad, let me tell you. It's not that oppressive. You're not going to walk outside and get smacked in the face with this humid air. But it's going to make a little difference, right? Because it's going to gain you a degree in that heat index. 65-degree dew point in Richmond, you're going to notice that a little bit more. So as the dew point goes up, that's air that you feel. Air that gives you a hug is what I like to say, or air you can wear. All right, Atlantic City, New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, D.C. You guys all make the list for potential record high temperatures today, coming very close or breaking like New York. We could break it by 2 degrees. So here's tomorrow's forecast. We could be breaking records again. We got temperatures up there in the upper 80s, Boston. New York, you're going to be in the 90s, and D.C. you'll be in the mid-90s as well. But what is this? We got a front. We got some big temperature changes coming, a little backdoor front here, which we'll talk about, and to gain you some relief. Now, courtesy of this piece, the Midwest in the middle of this heat wave as well. So here's a look at all the spots that are above average. And if you've got a red circle near you, that means you're about 15 degrees above average. When you get to that point, then we start talking records. So Omaha, Chicago, Indianapolis, we are up there well above average. There could be a few records here today. More likely, I think, in the Northeast, we'll see those potential record highs. The spot that's cool, by the way, if you want some cool air, go into the Mountain West. Vegas has some amazing weather, but everywhere else, we got the heat. Big old dome of high pressure. That's going to keep us hot in the Midwest and most of the Northeast for pretty much most of the week, with the exception of New England. And then we'll see that heat continuing across the South. And in the Southeast, you just got your typical June-like weather going on here, which, you know, happens to be hot. So temperatures going above 90, 15 to 25 degrees above average through the midweek, and especially in the Midwest. You guys are going to stay under that core of the big upper level ridge, and that means you don't lose these 90s all week. Chicago, Waterloo, Indianapolis, today, tomorrow, temperatures stay up there. You know, Chicago, Detroit, maybe get a little help and lose a degree or two, but it's not going to make that much of a difference. We are going to keep it hot through the week. Waterloo, 94, Louisville, 93, and temperatures on Thursday, a lot of still 90s across the area. Detroit, we're in the mid-80s. Minneapolis, we're in the upper 80s as we look ahead to your Thursday. So St. Louis, our average high is 84 degrees. We're going to be above that all week. Today, 96 degrees. This will be as hot as we've been since last year. In fact, September 7th was the last time we saw that temperature. Now we go coast to coast right now with your Monday morning weather headlines, and Texas-like heat following the at Miami, rated by Forbes as the worst city to rent in this year, factoring in income, cost of living. I don't know if a weather factored or not, but it's 83 degrees right now, and your heat and humidity is on. Miami looks bright out here. Something's going on there this morning. We've got more temperatures that are going to be sort of muggy. We've got more thunderstorms in the forecast, and it's very much your summer pattern here in Florida. High pressure is now shifted off the east coast of the surface, and that's going to allow the southerly flow to take over all across the south. So that means every day you're going to look up at the sky and you're going to say, is it going to rain? It might rain. It feels like it's going to rain. That's how the sky is going to look in the southeast. And you may get some showers. They're going to be very scattered. And we're pretty much in this pattern for the next couple of days. So today, from New Orleans to Jackson to Birmingham to Montgomery, take a look. This is our future radar. And you can see how we have got 2 batches of shower activity, one coming up through Louisiana, maybe East Texas, Louisiana, getting into southern Alabama, Georgia. And then, of course, we've got our Florida showers and storms as well. North of I-20, everything is pretty scattered, but there's still the chance of getting some showers there. Tomorrow, kind of the same situation. We've got severe weather actually possible up across the Midwest. We'll get to that in just about 2 minutes. But looking at what the forecast for you in the south and east, just a lot of scattered activity, not likely to be severe. We get some gusty winds. You could have some lightning, which of course will be a factor for all the swim teams and everyone else outside practicing now. But we've got that same issue on Wednesday. And then it's Thursday, there's going to be a more pronounced area of thunderstorms throughout the entire southeast. Now, coming up, vicious thunderstorms stalk the Twin Cities. Today, we've got the thunderstorms I just talked about, but we also have some scattered thunderstorm activity across the southeast. Hit or miss, mainly afternoon. You know, the kind that has you, at the pool looking up the clouds, wondering if it's going to rain. You're in that throughout the entire week through the southeast. Wednesday into the mid-Atlantic, a little more focused. You can see a front is on the move because by Thursday, that front tracking into the Midwest and extends into the south. So a more focused area of thunderstorms on Thursday into Friday. We keep the chance of storms across the southeast and move it into the northeast. The thing is, behind the front, you don't even get to cool down. Look at Chicago. You're still in the upper 80s as we get you into Saturday of next week. We'll get some chances to cool down in the northeast, but for everyone else, the heat is on. Look at Dallas, 97. And the west starts to warm back up too by the time we get to the tail end of the weekend. More than 85 million people will feel temperatures 90 degrees or higher. It's 29 minutes past the hour as AMHQ Early continues. Your summer has come a bit ahead of schedule with heat wave baking the Midwest and spreading through the Northeast. We've got 155 million people that look about. The temperature, the official temperature is taken in the shade. So if you're in the sun, it's going to be hotter than this. And this is where we're starting this morning. 76 degrees in New York City. Same thing in D.C. It is such a warm start to your day. And this probably isn't bad right now when you step outside. But when you start like this, it's going to finish hot. Temperatures today going up to the mid-90s. For most of us, Buffalo will stay in the low 80s. But elsewhere, 94 in Boston, 94 in Philadelphia, coming close to breaking records, going 15 to 20 degrees above average, even up into Portland, Maine. Did you guys get those AC units in your windows? If you don't have central air, which you may not in Maine because you don't need it many days, I hope you got your unit in your windows so that you are ready for this heat wave. Temperatures go up to record-breaking levels in parts of New Hampshire and Vermont. Yesterday it was 95 degrees in Burlington. That is not just a daily record, but that was the warmest you'd ever been so far in the season. So yes, it's been hot. Today, 95 would break a new record in New York. Binghamton, we would break a record. After all the snow we had this winter in Binghamton, I hope you guys are ready for this because 87 degrees is coming your way, coming close to breaking records elsewhere too. So we do have a little front that's coming on through, and that's going to help bring us some relief. Most importantly, it's going to change the wind direction for some of us on the East Coast, and that'll gain us drop our degrees a few. Philly, New York, Hartford, and D.C., though, not yet tomorrow. We are still in record high territory. We're going to be finding the heat in Detroit and Chicago, Indianapolis. Detroit for us, 91 degrees for today. But as we look at what happens, we are going to cool down a little bit by Wednesday, going to 81. Still above average, but at least we get a break. But then we're going right back up as we get into the weekend. So this pattern is pretty persistent, especially across the middle of the country and the Northeast. A big dome of heat, big ridge here continues to be the focus. The West, especially in the Northwest, that's where you're going to find a cool pocket to start the week. But elsewhere, it's just a lot of heat that continues to build, and especially across the Great Lakes and getting into the plains. We just got temperatures running above average all week long. Temperatures will be above 90 pretty much all throughout the southern plains and up into the upper Midwest and the mid-Atlantic. That runs about 15 to 25 degrees above average. So for Minneapolis, that puts us up in the mid to upper 80s. Chicago for today, that's us in the 90s. Again, we keep it going, and we're going to see those temperatures continuing to pop out into St. Louis at 95, Indianapolis 91, Detroit 88 for tomorrow. Yes, it stays hot. We do gain one cool day this week in Detroit, but then everywhere else we stay hot, and then that remains the case through the rest of the week. Let's go coast to coast right now for a check of your Monday morning weather headlines. It is 9 days, a very wet winter, right? Let's go to the south and east, where we actually had, fairly dry start to the season, but now in a hurry, things have gotten wet again, and we've got a lot more in the way of thunderstorms coming in this week. Right now, there's some showers lingering offshore. This will be the kind of day where we watch some of the thunderstorms bubble up into the afternoon. Very scattered from Tennessee to North Georgia to northern Alabama, western North Carolina as well. A little more focused down here closer to the Gulf Coast, New Orleans. You are in that. And in Florida, we'll have this afternoon showers and storms. And it's that time of year. Sunshine, sunglasses, sunbathing, and heat. We'll take you into next weekend and show you what the weather holds. Next weekend, Father's Day weekend, so a lot of folks will be planning some picnics and everything else. We've got to look at today's forecast, thunderstorms, possible severe weather. Tomorrow, we'll watch for some thunderstorms into the plains, too, as the dry line comes into play. That's with ahead of our next system. The rest of the east, it's just generally southerly flow and scattered thunderstorms until we get into Wednesday and Thursday, and then everything becomes a bit more focused. So western lakes on Wednesday, on Thursday, moves through the eastern lakes and getting into the Ohio Valley, the southeast, a better chance of seeing more widespread showers and storms on Thursday, and then continuing into Friday. Northeast will get some showers, and thanks to the front out there in the northeast, we're going to get some cooler temperatures actually that stick around for a couple of days. We can thank that east wind, believe it or not. I'm happy for you for the east wind for a day or two. And then we get you back into Sunday and the chance for storms and back to the low 80s looking ahead to the end of the weekend. In today's, but how sandy everyone is, right, with all that sand in your hair and everything else. Ugh. Anyway, always love a good beach day. Not such a good beach day in a couple of spots here today as we look at our latest tropical depression. This is Tropical Depression 3E. It's in the eastern Pacific, and there's the low pressure right there. Winds are at 35 miles per hour. This thing has not been moving very much. It's been stationary pretty much. I mean, northwest at 3 is the movement right now, and the concern is that it's going to drop some very heavy rain, 5 to 10 inches right here on the coast of Mexico and perhaps Guatemala as well. It's not expected to move quickly. By tonight, it is expected to be at 40 miles per hour, but you can see how it's just very close to the coast, expecting to bring the heavy rainfall as the biggest concern. There's a tropical storm warning up if it gets to tropical storm status. The next name is Calvin, so we could have a tropical storm Calvin out here on the Mexican coast. So heavy rain will be the biggest concern with the 5 to 10 inches of rain. It's possible that there could be mudslides as well. So that's going to be the concern right here in this mountainous area of Mexico. Of 4 today, actually, and it's in this area right over here. And the concern is, of course, the thunderstorms fire this afternoon, that we could see some big hail-producing thunderstorms as well as that threat for tornadoes. So here's what to watch. Here's our surface low. In the vicinity of it is where we're going to see some turning of the winds with height as we go up in the atmosphere, because this also happens to be where we've got some very strong upper level winds. So you've got strong winds aloft that change direction. So stronger winds as you go up in the atmosphere, and then they also change direction with height. That does give us that concern for potential storms with they could be tornadic. You know, there's a moderate risk from the Storm Prediction Center out in this area today. There hasn't been a moderate risk here across Wyoming and up into Montana and South Dakota, this area right in here, since 2010. So it's been a while, right? We are going to see that chance for strong storms there today, supercell type thunderstorms, and there is the concern that they could go tornadic, a 4 out of 10 on the Torcon. In southeast South Dakota and southern Minnesota, it's a 3 out of 10 on the Torcon. You know, the storms over the weekend across Minnesota were, and Wisconsin too for that matter, had a lot of strong damaging winds, and there is that potential again today with thunderstorms that we see, especially getting into the afternoon hours, popping up here into Minnesota and parts of Iowa and South Dakota and Nebraska. Showers and storms are possible across the south and east. Our high pressure sliding off to the east. This is a classic summer pattern right here. You got a Bermuda high, the winds around it in a clockwise fashion, bringing up the moisture here through the southeast. So your temperatures don't get as hot. That's one bonus because of this, right? Our temperatures will stay in the upper 80s, but the humidity is up. Lots of tropical moisture, especially in Louisiana and in Florida, and that's going to be on the move. You'll see those dew points higher, so it'll be muggy out there, and there will be scattered showers and storms throughout the week. Here's a look at today's forecast and the future radar showing some more focused activity in the Florida Panhandle, South Georgia, also into Louisiana and into Arkansas as well. Everywhere else, it's very scattered. Not a guarantee that you get a shower. You'll probably be at the pool today, looking at the sky, wondering which cloud will bring some rain. And there is a chance that you could get some of that. Tomorrow's forecast will continue with that same kind of pattern, scattered thunderstorms. Wednesday, we do have a front coming on in, and that's going to help focus things a little bit more. By Thursday, there's a more pronounced area of thunderstorm activity throughout the southeast, including, throughout much of Mississippi, Alabama, up into Tennessee, Nashville. You got a pretty wet end to your week this week. And coming up, more on that record heat across the Northeast on AMHQ at 6 Eastern. Stephanie Abrams tracking when the hottest temps will hit. She's live in New York City. We'll be right back right after your local on the